Hey there. Running an online business can sometimes feel like a marathon, right? Especially when you're trying to keep up with the ever-changing world of online payments.
You tell me it's a jungle out there. But having a smooth and streamlined checkout process, that's got to be a top priority for any e-commerce business these days.
Totally. Anything that makes it easier for customers to click that buy button, am I right? And that's where I think this whole buy now, pay later thing comes into play. You sent over that article about integrating ZipPay into a WordPress site.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you about that, especially because you're based in Australia, and I know ZipPay is pretty huge down there.
It's massive here, like millions of users, which is a pretty big deal for businesses, right? Gives them access to this whole pool of customers who really value that flexibility in how they pay.
Okay, so we're talking potential game changers for online stores, especially those targeting Aussie shoppers. So this article you shared, it's from a company called Now Technology Systems, and they lay out some of the prerequisites for getting ZipPay up and running on a WordPress site.
Right, like think of it as gathering your tools before you start a project. So first off, you're going to need a WordPress website.
Which I'm assuming most people listening probably already have.
Probably a safe bet. You'll also need a ZipPay merchant account. That's where all the money magic happens.
That's the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Exactly. And then last but not least, you need admin access to your WordPress dashboard. Like having the keys to the kingdom, gives you the power to make those essential back-end changes.
All right, you don't want to give those keys to just anyone. Now, the article goes on to outline a 5-step process for integrating ZipPay, and I have to say they do a nice job breaking it down. Step 1 focuses on WooCommerce, which, I'll be honest, might sound a bit intimidating if you're not super familiar with the technical side of WordPress.
Let's demystify that a bit. WooCommerce is basically a plugin that transforms your WordPress website into a fully functional online store. It's super popular, probably the most widely used e-commerce platform for WordPress users.
Okay, so it's like setting up the storefront for your online shop, making sure you've got all the shelves stocked and ready to go. Got it. So step 1, make sure WooCommerce is installed and ready to roll. Then we move on to step 2, and this is where things start to get interesting, because this is where you actually enable ZipPay within your WooCommerce settings. It's like flipping the switch, right? Activating ZipPay's superpowers within your online store.
Yep. And this is where those ZipPay merchant account credentials we talked about earlier come in. You'll be plugging those into your WooCommerce settings, which basically creates that secure connection between your website and ZipPay's system.
So it's like you're introducing your website and ZipPay, making sure they can talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right. Securely, of course.
Exactly. Making sure they can exchange information smoothly and safely.
And then step 3, from what I'm seeing here, looks like it's all about customizing how ZipPay shows up for your customers during checkout.
Right, because you don't want a jarring checkout experience, right? You want it to feel consistent, on brand.
Seamless, exactly. So customers can breeze through the process without a hitch.
Exactly. Make it feel like a natural extension of your brand.
Now, before you go live and start accepting those buy now, pay later purchases, the article emphasizes testing. Always a good idea.
Oh, absolutely. Step 4, testing. That's where you put on your customer hat and go through a mock checkout process. Really important to make sure everything's working as it should.
Are there any specific things you recommend testing? Just to make sure it's all smooth sailing for the customer?
Definitely. I mean, the obvious one is the basic checkout flow, right? But I always advise clients to think about different scenarios. What happens if a customer, say, has a question about their ZipPay installments during checkout? Is there a clear path for them to get that information?
Without abandoning their cart, hopefully.
Exactly. You don't want to create unnecessary roadblocks. And you'll want to test with different order values, too. Make sure the ZipPay option pops up when it's supposed to.
It's like giving your system a final once-over before the big launch.
A test drive.
Exactly. And speaking of launch, once you're confident everything is firing on all cylinders, it's time to spread the word. Get those customers excited about this new payment option. The article mentions banners, social media, jazzing up those newsletters. What are your thoughts on the most effective way to announce this kind of thing?
I think it always comes back to knowing your audience. Where do they hang out online? Are they Instagram folks? Twitter? Maybe they're part of a Facebook group for your niche.
Yeah, you got to meet them where they are.
Exactly. And tailor your message accordingly. A snazzy graphic might be perfect for Instagram, while a to-the-point tweet could work better for the Twitterverse.
Different strokes.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into this whole ZipPay integration process, the article touches on something that's super important, even if it might not be the most glamorous part.
Yeah.
legal and regulatory compliance.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not as exciting as setting up payment gateways,
Yeah.
but definitely crucial.
Make or break stuff.
Absolutely. Especially when you're dealing with financial transactions, transparency is key.
What do you mean?
Well, your customers need to be in the loop about how ZipPay works, including any fees involved. And it's not about burying that information in the fine print, right? It's about making it clear, making sure your customers feel comfortable and secure.
It's about trust.
100%. Even though we're talking about online businesses, it still boils down to those fundamental principles of good business.
It's like that old saying, honesty is the best policy.
Right.
It applies just as much in the online world as it does in the offline world, especially when it comes to something like payments.
Absolutely. You've got to have that trust.
For sure. Now, speaking of trust, this article you shared comes from Now Technology Systems. They seem like they know their stuff. Website development, SEO, even video production. Sounds like they've got all the bases covered for businesses looking to up their online game.
Yeah, they do a bit of everything, a one-stop shop.
Which, let's be real, is super appealing for business owners who are already juggling a million things. Being able to offload some of those technical aspects, trust the experts, that's got to be a huge weight off their shoulders.
Totally. Frees you up to focus on what you do best.
Exactly. Running your business. Well, as we wrap up our little deep dive here, I wanted to leave you with a thought. Imagine you're launching an online business today. Brand new, fresh start. What's that one feature, that secret sauce that you'd prioritize to really make your business stand out? And not just stand out, but keep those customers coming back for more. Something to ponder. Until next time.